Hello, welcome back to my garden. It's been a little while since I've shown you this. Today I finally pruned this husky cherry tomato. Managed to pick a few, but I think it'll be a lot healthier going forward. Also in this keyhole garden, the poblano peppers need to be harvested. There's some damaged ones. There's some that are turning red. But it is time to pick and prune. And then next to that is this insane midnight snack tomato clone. It overwintered and I'm gonna have to prune it to get into its interior. There are a few sweet potatoes still growing back there. I have a bunch of slips. I'm gonna fill that back end up with sweet potato slips. And here are two elephant garlics that survived the chickens' onslaught. Those chickens have been pretty brutal, so they're cooped most of the day. They come out for an hour or two in the evening, but they had gotten in here and destroyed what I had first planted. But luckily we went ahead and were able to spend the money and replace the asparagus and strawberry starts, and we're already getting some fruit. There are some very tiny asparagus stems coming up. Can't really show you through the bird netting. You'll just have to trust me. Here's this litter of babies. They're about 13 weeks old now. We're going to keep one of the females to breed. The avocado tree is in full bloom and is very happy. And right next to it, inside the raised wattle, we do have a potato that has overwintered. There's a little bitty bell pepper down there putting on some peppers. These garlics are nice and strong. This Anaheim pepper, it's time to harvest that again too. Lots of red ones. That one overwintered. This volunteer mint, I need to yank a bunch of that out. And I'll probably pot some up or put some in the front yard. There's a golden cayenne. It's got some ripe ones on it. This Thai basil managed to overwinter pretty well. And there's the garden salsa pepper with some red ones ready to harvest. Here in the main garden, the snap peas are exploding. Many pods on here. And during the windstorm, they kind of bent over, so they're kind of a bit of a tangled mess. And powdery mildew is starting, so I'm gonna have to spray with milk. And at the base, there's a lot of garlic. There's, I think, 4 parsnips managed to germinate and survive. Here in these bricks, I've got some cilantro started. And the echinacea is still going well from last year. This parsnip, I'm going to go ahead and allow it to go to seed and propagate it. Got some onions fattening up. Some of them I've already removed the scapes, but others have their scapes coming on. The borage is big and healthy, and there's always bees on it. Makes good rabbit and chicken forage too. I had planted some wax beans, and only 2 are stayed viable. Here's the original planting of the snap peas. Plenty to pick, and it's got a bad case of the powdery mildew, so I think that's where it came from this time around. I've neglected it. Haven't sprayed it with anything yet. At the bottom, there's a lot of jalapenos setting. Small, but They'll be tasty. I think these are dill seedlings. More garlic. Yeah, look at this nasty powdery mildew. I don't like it. Usually the milk helps a lot though. And here's the not sage, thyme plant. I think it's going on its third year now. Same with this oregano. And I've got some broccolis that are sending off side shoots. Especially this one. That one's pretty happy. I think this might be a Romanesco, but if you look down in here, it's got aphids. So I'm gonna soap that up. This was chard that I had in here for years. I think it's finally just about finished. But I have some planted in the front yard. All of the beets that I had planted here were eaten by insects. Check out that very happy fennel plant though. And got a cosmos just about to bloom. And over here, the garden sage is finally getting some sunshine in the daytime. Got some spindly, sun-starved garlics. And this thornless blackberry is spreading, hoping to grow a nice bush of it here. And here's a little lineup of peppers that came from out of the greenhouse. So I'm not very good at growing things in pots, so we'll cross our fingers with these. This is my first go around with our little polytunnel greenhouse. There's Daisy having some hops. And I haven't really mastered it yet. Some things are happy in here. Here's one of those peppers. It hasn't bloomed yet, so I'm leaving it in here. But I probably should feed these. This garden soil came with slow release in it, but these spinach look like they could use some food. The pak choi is all bolting. The salad mix, some of the greens do have brown edges on the leaves, but the red leaf looks awesome. And look at all these celery seedlings. Now these kohlrabi should have already put on bulbs. I don't know, it's probably too hot in here. The carrots like it though. There's a tomato that I mistreated horribly in the fall, but it looks like it's coming back. That one doesn't look so great. Here are my sweet potato slips all packed together, so it's gonna be time to take those out and place them in the keyhole and maybe around the front yard. And then these right here are cherry tomatoes. Got some red bells, some serranos. These ground cherries did germinate, but they are not looking that happy. And in the other wicking bed, very, very happy, healthy beets. Some Romanesco and broccoli starts. So I'm probably gonna actually transplant those Romanesco and broccolis. They don't really like this heat inside here. So that is the greenhouse. I've kind of left the mushroom production up to my husband. So we'll see what comes of that. Here's the mini pasture. It's doing great. I've put the grow out rabbits out there several times. I leave them out there until they start to dig, because that destroys things. But they get some good nutrition when they have their exercise in the mini pasture. That's planted with Southwest poultry mix. Out here, the Victory Garden in the front yard is really phenomenal. Really pleased with that. Here on this mound, I had planted a bunch of brassicas on the top, Those are not doing well. They look like maybe some nitrogen thieving is happening, but on the lower row, pretty much all of these garlics came up. Looking good. Yeah, so down here, lots and lots of snap peas, garlics, comfrey, and we've got our first appearance of an artichoke. Very excited about artichokes. These guys are getting big. Very healthy and happy. These comfreys are starting to bloom. Pretty color. Got some purple cauliflower. It got some transplant shock, but it's recovering. And over here, we pruned the moringa tree, and these broad beans, these fava beans, are very much in bloom, and they're so pretty. Really expecting a good harvest of fava beans. It's my first time ever growing those, and it's intermingled with cauliflower. And we also trimmed this mulberry tree, which yielded a lot of sticks. So I'm going to be weaving another wattle around this straw mushroom bed. No hint of primordia from that. So we're just crossing our fingers. And this nasturtium has just really taken over here in the flower stump. The squatty little sunflower is pretty much spent. I'm going to let it form seeds. The chickens really appreciate that. But look at all the flower seeds that are coming up. There's zinnias, different kinds of sunflowers, and cosmos growing in there. I want to put a fairy house on this stump. In this moringa tree circle, also pollarded, more fava beans, and then some beets. Got 3 different types of beets growing in there. It's about time to cut this purple geranium back a bit. I'm going to be putting out plant starts to share. Next to the guava, I put a bunch of onion seeds that I propagated from last year, and they're all coming up. Look at all those onions. So even if they don't make nice bulb onions, they'll at least make green onions. More nasturtium explosion volunteers from last year. But here the kale, and this was chard, cilantro, and Italian parsley, providing us with enough greens to get by. Here's the potato mound. Well, I call it the South Mound, and I planted purple-hulled pink-eyed cowpeas and wax beans around the perimeter, with a few mammoth sunflowers here and there, and then 2 rows of Yukon Gold potatoes that are not poking up yet. It's looking a bit dry even though it just rained. Yeah, we got a lot of building material off of that mulberry tree. And look at this. This fig tree is starting to leaf out. And we did not prune it this year because we pruned it pretty heavily last year and we did not get much fruit off of it. Here's Mama Violet Hunter, and she has a new litter. She has such small litters. I think this one only has 2. They're only a few days old and I haven't taken them out. I don't want to disrupt. She's been very protective. But we're going to keep one of those other older ones to continue our breeding program. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. The 3rd quarter of the year is almost over. Time flies so fast. Much love, peace, and blessings. Cheers.